Hey everybody, welcome to the F-Bars Chronicles. This is my channel where I walk you through the adventures of two different groups playing through
Lost Mine of Phandelver, whatever. Not the best name in the world.
This is the story of their fourth session where both the groups went through the Cragmaw Castle. First, we'll tackle the story of the Red Wedge Pact. This is the session that will explain why they call themselves that. When the Red Wedge Pact got to the Cragmaw Castle, they decided that they were not going to storm the castle and instead opted for a stealth mission. This was a situation ripe for
my friend Jordy calls the patented Colville screw. When you've stealthed your way to the bottom of the dungeon only to make some critical mistake alerting the entire dungeon to your presence. So whereas a normal party would have step by step explored the dungeon, now the dungeon is going to come to explore you.
Great guy. I'll put a link to his channel in the doobly-doo. I'm not a big fan of this situation. I always feel like I'm letting players down when they have a good plan and one bad die roll screws them over. So I came up with a solution. It's still early days of me trying to design this, but this is basically the gist of it. Everyone in the dungeon has an alert level of 0. If you fail a stealth check, that's not the end of the world. When I say stealth check, by the way, I mean a group stealth check. If you fail that, the alert level of everyone in the adjacent room goes up by 1. Narratively, this is something like the bad guys hear a noise, but it could be anything. They don't immediately come to investigate it. But now they're more alert. If you keep failing your stealth checks, the alert level goes up by 1 for every failure. When the alert level reaches 3, the bad guys come out to check out what the hell is going on. If you succeed a stealth check, the alert level stays the same. If you succeed a consecutive stealth check, the alert level goes down by 1. It can never be lower than 0. This way, if you fail 3 checks in a row, you are screwed, but you have the chance to recover before you reach that point. Also, if combat breaks out, every round of combat makes the alert level of the people in the next rooms go up by 1. Of course, all of this goes out the window if you cast Thunderwave and make a loud noise. Then everybody knows that something is wrong. Anyway, on to the story. The Red Wedge Pact are being super stealthy. Well, I mean, as stealthy as a dwarf cleric and a Goliath fighter in heavy armors can be, which is, you know. But they're a perceptive group, so they are slowly circling around the keep. They see a gust of wind makes some of the stones on the wall ripple. Blink, blink. The stones ripple? They ask. Yes, they do, I say. But that makes no sense, they say. No, it doesn't, I say. They ask, wait, is this a secret entrance? And I respond, only one way to find out. Indeed, it was a secret entrance. The wall was completely ruined and it was stones drawn onto a canvas to make it look like a wall. So this is where the Red Wedge Pact entered Cragmaw Castle. They made their way to this door and the Goliath fighter Josh asks, which way does the door open? A seemingly innocent question. So without much thought, I say, towards you. Oh good, says Josh, and wedges the door shut. Then they come to this door. And the Goliath fighter asks, which way does this door open? Now, I had laid out this map using my Dwarven Forge tiles. I'll show them off and talk about them in a future video sometime. So I just checked which way the tiny door opened. Towards you was the answer again. The Red Wedge Pact proceeded to wedge that door shut. Killing and hating the red brands and wedging doors are apparently their specialty now. Hence the name. I had suggested something like the Red Wedging, but they like the Red Wedge Pact better. They went into this room, and here there were 2 hobgoblins, just chilling. The Red Wedge Pact killed the hobgoblins before they could even move. I described that the air in this room was heavy, with the smell of matted wet fur and refuse and decay. They could smell this wild animalistic scent from this heavily reinforced door. They tried to listen in and heard heavy breathing and deep hoots. The seasoned players, Farron, Ryan, and Josh, not Josh, knows exactly what's in here, and they don't want to go in there. Josh, on the other hand, has no idea what it is and is really scared. They decided to ignore that room and went the other way. Next, they came to this door, and this door did not open towards them. They listen in, and I describe how they hear some voices speaking in Goblin. Some of the voices are deeper hobgoblins than normal goblins, while the others are clearly goblins. Wow, that was a lot of goblins. The Red Wedge Pact kicked down the door and attacked. The combat here was nothing to write home about. I don't think any combat in D&D is anything to write home about, but you get my point. The combat here was nothing to write home about, but they made so much noise that they alerted the goblins in this area. These goblins had crossbows. They would shoot at the heroes and hide behind cover. So for a round or so, the heroes couldn't land any hits on them. When the Wedge Pact killed the hobgoblins in this room, the goblins ran and started knocking on this door. I feel like I should just name this episode The Doors. Way too many doors in this dungeon. The Hobby-Gobbies and the Just Gobbies come out of this room, and a Grick comes out of this room, and a big fight ensues. The players are doing way better than they're supposed to, mainly because they couldn't roll above a 10 all night. Still, they're running low on resources, some of them are low on hit points, a couple of them went unconscious a few times. In the end, as an act of despair, Vandal, the Dwarven cleric, throws caution to the wind and casts Thunder Wave. As the spell echoes and thunders through the old ruined walls of Cragmaw Castle. That's where that session ended. It was epic, a lot of combat, arrows were shot, spells were fired, swashes were buckled, buckles were swashed, and we were all exhausted after the session. Trying to keep track of all these enemies and movements and areas of effect was a lot of bookkeeping, but boy, it was a hell lot of fun. On the other hand, the Warhamsters had a completely different strategy. When they finished up their rest in the Cragmaw hideout, not the castle, and came to the Cragmaw Castle, they were almost on even footing. Remember, they had turned the goblins in the cave and had sent Yimmick, the goblin leader, up ahead to warn the other goblins in the castle. Yimmick had come and told all the goblins in the castle that these heroes will come, kill all the hobgoblins and the bugbears, and free them. The adventure says in multiple different places that the goblins are mistreated by the two bigger races, and the goblins resent them. The Warhamsters were extremely successful in playing into this aspect of the goblins and use it to their advantage. The Warhamsters sent Ellie, the gnome wizard, disguised as a goblin, and Keth, the half-orc rogue, as her prisoner. As she got to the front steps, she heard psst. The goblin lookouts in here saw Ellie, mistook her for one of them. The goblins then told Ellie that they were waiting for these heroes to show up, and all the goblins will run away when they come until the castle is cleared. And then they're free. With this information, Ellie reveals herself, and all the goblins run away. Seeing a long train of running goblins, the rest of the party, Krem, the Tiefling cleric, and Turquoise, the Dragonborn paladin, come running in. Their collective stealth is just garbage. So, of course, they were spotted out of the window by the hobgoblins in this room. The Warhamsters are immediately met by a bunch of hobgoblins. They were really never in any real danger, because without the goblin minions and the action economy of 5e, these hobgoblins were hitting hard, but they were not tough to kill. The other issue, the real issue, was that the general stealth and the general perception of the Warhamsters is surprisingly bad. They get by with their amazing charisma and creative thinking, but those two skills can sometimes be very important. This was one of those times. They made enough noise for everyone left in the castle to know that they were there. But there wasn't anything else remarkable about that session for the Warhamsters. It was mainly bog standard D&D. The creative thinking had happened before, and they were now just reaping the benefits of that. Their main achievement was being able to turn the goblins over to their side, and did pay off enormously. I should mention that both the parties, having cleared the western area of the Cragmaw Castle, decided to take a short rest. This short rest changed the rest of the campaign drastically. That will be the topic of the next video in this series, and I think my best DM advice that I can give you about running
Lost Mine of Phandelver.
That's the video, fellows. Hopefully you found it amusing and entertaining. I try to keep these videos short so that whatever the juice is in it for you, you can get it without having to sit through 40 minutes of slog. Thank you all for watching, and until next time, that's all, folks.